just a few moments ago, Jessica Dean, talking about how Biden is now sending out an email to supporters talking about a quote-unquote doomsday scenario of a contested convention here. But I wonder, we've talked about contested conventions every cycle, right? And it never happens. But given what AB has laid out there, particularly the entrant of a highly funded candidate like Michael Bloomberg, who hasn't even started really, does that become less of a far-fetched idea, maybe even a likelihood to be split until you get to the convention?
There's absolutely a likelihood of that. I think what we're going to see coming out of New Hampshire, it's not so much what I think, but in terms of my reporting for Politico, what I've seen is all of these candidates, despite all, the size of the field, I think we're going to see low turnout today. People are confused about who to vote for. Iowa was a muddled reaction. Nobody totally understood who the real winner was, at least in terms of real people in New Hampshire. And I think you might see a muddled field coming out of New Hampshire as well. So there's the potential that all of these candidates survive. There's this old adage that there were 3 or 4 tickets out of New Hampshire, but there may be 5 or 6 or even 7.
I should note it's a Biden super PAC that sent out that email, not the Biden campaign.
Right. Guys, I think it's interesting. So the way that Biden has been going after Bernie Sanders is just imagine what President Trump is going to do with the self-imposed label, Democratic Socialist. That's what you call yourself. Just imagine how the president's going to spin that, right? I think this weekend, when he was on Fox News Sunday, Bernie Sanders, for the first time, addressed that. And here's how I believe I'm electable as a Democratic Socialist against the president. Here he was.
Donald Trump, before he was president, as a private business person, he received $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies to build luxury housing in New York. The difference between my socialism and Trump's socialism is I believe the government should help working families, not billionaires. So I believe that health care is a human right. I believe we should raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour. I believe, in fact, that the rich must start paying their fair share of taxes when you have massive levels of income and wealth inequality.
So what do you think, AB? My socialism is just different than his socialism.
It took a long time for him to get that answer out, and I think a lot of voters who are going to be looking at this campaign on social media platforms like Facebook, where they're going to see targeted, effective advertising from the Trump campaign, very well funded, very frequently, are going to be told that socialism means the U.S. will become Venezuela. It is going to make the election a choice and not a referendum on Donald Trump. No one believes that Bernie's $90 trillion worth of programs are affordable or possible, and basically the voters are being promised a pack of lies. I'm a columnist, not a reporter, so I can tell you that this is how I interpret this, and I think the Trump campaign is going to weaponize it very effectively.
Well, listen, corporate welfare is the thing, and if you look at tax breaks, even oil companies, et cetera, it costs the taxpayer money, so it's not an outlandish argument. I do want to ask you, Trent, about the makeup of New Hampshire, particularly following Iowa. If you look at New Hampshire's demographics compared to the country's, New Hampshire, like Iowa, is very white, 95% white, 1% black, 1% Hispanic. Look at that comparison to national numbers here. Is that something that bolsters Biden's argument that hey, these races are not representative, so they should not be the final word? Let's wait till we get to more diverse environs, such as South Carolina.
New Hampshire is one of the oldest, whitest, and richest states in the entire country. The other thing is that in terms of voters, the vast majority of them, or not the vast majority, but most of them are undeclared, which means they can walk into the polling place today, and they can either pick a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot. And so it's very hard. New Hampshire is absolutely not representative of the rest of the country. Now, Granite Staters try and game that out a little bit, though, because they are trying to pick a nominee that can beat Trump. And so they, from what I've heard from voters, they are considering that. They're looking at who can win on Super Tuesday. They're looking at who can win in South Carolina. So as much as New Hampshire is not diverse, that is something that Granite Staters do keep in mind.
Right, and they do take it, like Iowans, they take that early voting seriously. Trent Spinner, AB Stoddard, thanks to both of you.